FaceTime wasn't on.
It was on, but the audio wasn't coming
Okay, we're good. Carry on.
in. Okay.
You took me downstairs.
Yeah.
Or yeah, just headphones.
I think you're.
Check.
You're too. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Alright. Good Lord. If it's not one thing, it's another.
How are those? How she blows.
Okay.
Your nose is good.
I had you have notes, yeah. Believe it or not. So,
Should we go over lunch?
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 50% Facts. Today is our first, what do they call it? Virgin voyage?
Okay.
Is that what you do when you ride a boat for the first time?
Alright.
Right?
Yeah. As long as you're not asking me to get out of the boat and swim across the equator.
This is our first cherry popping movie review. Now, Jimbo here knows a lot about movies, film, editing. That's the 50%. I know absolutely nothing, but I watch a lot of bullshit. So Jim is curating a list of movies that are somewhat related, some classics, some brand new, to what not only we enjoy, but our topic, our business, fitness, etc., our lives, and hopefully your lives, so you can relate. Hopefully you go and watch it, and you see the stream, or the title of the show, you can go watch it, and then listen to us, or you can listen to us, and then go watch it, comment to us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, we'll get a discussion going, maybe learn something, maybe make new friends, and we'll probably do this once a month. If by chance these go really well, you guys enjoy them, and there's enough movies that kind of tickle our fancy, we may do more. We may not. Who knows? But Jim will give you a quick summary of what we're talking about, and then we'll begin.
All right, so actually, before I get started, I want to shout out that I'm wearing my Westside vs. the World hoodie today in honor of my friend Michael Fahey, who got married yesterday.
Congratulations.
And God bless his now wife, because I think that she, without her, he would not have been able to finish that film because it nearly took his life.
I can imagine making like I said, projects are projects. A movie does seem extreme, but we've done some stupid things too. So
Yeah,
it's all just
I would say though that like we probably won't ever review that film. We've talked about it a number of times. We probably won't, because I'm a little too close to it.
Yeah.
And I'd step out and have somebody else in here. That would be okay with me too.
But we did do like a kind of a movie-ish review episode on that movie. If you guys haven't seen the movie, watch the movie and go back for almost about a year, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
And we talked about it.
Yeah. So my thought here is that there are connections to the broader world, and the movie that we're going to do next month is going to be Pumping Iron. And I had seen, I was actually listening to another podcast, and they were talking about a movie that Arnold was in, Terminator 2, and they were talking about the impression that they had when they first saw Pumping Iron. And I thought, well, these people are not, I mean, they're sports people, but they're not like lifter people,
Right.
You know, and like that film has had such a huge impact on everybody. But I wanted to jump on something that is, I think, more topical at the moment, and that is Fake Famous. It's on HBO Max. The premise is this. They do a casting call with about 2,500 people from kind of all over. People flew in from different places, and there were people who were in LA and whatever. And they were trying to choose 3 people to essentially make Fake Famous, to, on Instagram, buy them followers, buy them likes, or whatever, and to see like how companies responded, how sponsors responded, about how people responded to them. And they're near the beginning, there are a variety of different types of people that they talked to, who did their presentations. There was a woman who was roller skating, that was interesting.
Yeah, like in the interview process. What did they say? Like 3,000 people or a couple thousand people applied?
I think 2,500 is what they said.
Yeah, who knows? What I found interesting, even off the bat, is they don't like say who they are or what they do. The people running it. So like they didn't say like we're social media experts or we're movie makers or we're famous or
the one guy was Nick Bilton. He's the filmmaker. He was a journalist for New York Times and Vanity Fair for
So that, and then as it unrolls, and he has like a little team with him. As it unrolls to the movie, I found interesting is that like they had like a goal, but they didn't really have a goal. The goal, yeah, to get followers or whatever, but they already talked about buying them right away, and they talked about how fake everything is in the industry, Hollywood to this, but they didn't talk about like a plan of action necessarily, or like why, or not. They did talk about why, but he didn't say like, I'm a social media. Yeah, I guess I'm a marketer.
Yeah.
And this is cool. I'm gonna challenge myself to grow this.
Right.
Or they just grab people that want to be famous because of whatever reason.
Right.
Some people, like Jim said, are skaters or they're singers.
Actors. A lot of actors.
A lot of the typical story.
Yeah.
I'm a waitress, but I'm an actor, singer,
Right.
model. Everyone said they're a model.
Yeah, model, actor. Everyone said model, actor.
Yeah.
Model, actress, model, actor.
I get it, and people are gonna be like, "Well, Mike, you could push yourself for your job." Like, I do. I would never fucking call myself a model. And although LA is very large and it's hard not to paint with a broad brush, that's so real.
Yeah,
Everyone hears it, but I've been to LA 100,000 times. You meet people, everyone's doing it. And then to like go to this, but not at a good chat with Bart. I talk to Bart Quan obviously all the time, but about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and we sound like a little funny. Bart's just a little bit older than me, and he's like, "Yeah, man, we're like hiring you folks at the gym or something, this and that." He does an interview process, obviously, for employees, and he always asks people like, "Yeah, what's the goal?" And he gets a lot of that. Yeah, in Hollywood, I kind of need a job. I'm trying to act or something. That's normal, right? But he said for the first time ever, someone came to him and said, "I want to be an influencer." And he's like, or I think he said fitness influencer. And Bart's like head exploded. He's like, "I didn't even know that's like a fucking
Head
job."
exploding emoji.
Well, I don't know it's a job, and I still would never.
Well, it is.
It is, and they talk about the term influencer a good what it is, what it means, or what they think it means, and how it brings. What I found interesting, they talk about how it brings a negative connotation.
Yeah.
What-
now it does. Yeah.
What the movie said that.
Yeah.
But I never. I always thought to the world that's a positive thing, and it's just me hating on it. Because it is just like.
Well, I think that there are sort of two kinds of influencers. There are people who are actually experts about things.
Sure.
And then they build up a personal following that gives them a platform to talk about the thing that they're an expert for.
Right.
And then there are other people who don't necessarily have any expertise in anything, but they look good.
Right, or what? Yeah, the question would be, okay, you have a following or an audience. What do you do, or why?
Right.
And I could say, well, we created content around the fitness industry, and we try to share our experiences and our knowledge of the barbell with people. And we create an audience and platform. But you're right. The large majority is like, what do you do? Why? Especially with Instagram. I think YouTube is a little bit different because there's more depth to it. Like, you can still be an idiot and not be known or have a skill per se. But even that, you know, you could have a team, and you could have some creatives, it could be funny, or it could be entertaining. Like, Instagram, you don't have to be entertaining. Like, you have to look kind of nice, or like flex a Ferrari. And you nowadays it is a little different, but you have the potential to grow.
Right. Back in the day, back when we, were just getting onto Instagram, we were really trying to use it to get people to the content we produce.
Sure.
It wasn't for just for Instagram consumption. You're trying to get somebody, and that's still kind of largely where it is.
Yeah.
But I remember, and you might not remember this, that when we first started talking about working on stuff together our first podcast, you said, "Look, I want to be famous on Instagram, or YouTube, or wherever. I want to have a platform because I want to speak to things."
Yeah, I used to joke about that, like growing up and stuff. I might have told this story on the podcast. Maybe not. You're right. So I'm like 19. I never knew what the hell I wanted to do, and I think the background of that too is just like being an athlete. So like you want like credit. Like I spent 30 hours every week or 40 hours every week while I'm still in high school trying to get better at basketball for 20 years, 15 years, right? So you want credit. Like, yeah, I want a crowd cheer my name. Like, who the fuck doesn't? I worked my tail off from age 8 until 18. Like, yeah, you want the cool shit. I'm 19, I just dropped out of college, I'm working my tail off to go back to college to play basketball, and I'm at Subway. Does this ring a bell?
Maybe, yeah.
So I'm at Subway with my buddies after a workout, and this older lady's making my sandwich, and she talks to me, she says, "Look at me." I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Ham and cheese, man." She said, "Look at me." I said, "Yeah." She said, "You remember me?" I said, "Excuse me, man." She said, "You remember hope so. You know, thanks for easy on the vinegar, and I headed out, made my sandwich with my boys. But I told my mom that, you know, she's like, maybe she's trying to. I don't know. And I would never ever.
She's your gypsy fortune teller.
I would never consider myself famous here, because again, I think fame means that you're like the elite of something, and that you can't go to the grocery store, right? That's like what real fame is. And like, has someone randomly recognized in the public? Sure, that happens. But like, that's not fame. Like, if you're Dwayne Johnson, you can't go to the grocery store.
Right.
Like, you're gonna get mobbed. Or like, they even show clips in here when they're talking about that. And Lady Gaga was walking down like something. People are grabbing her fucking arm, pulling her in the audience.
Yeah, which was scary.
Yeah, they're going wild.
Yeah,
right. Like that's. I'm not even 1/1000th of that, right? Just to get some followers on Instagram doesn't get you there. But you're right. Like, we always had like a craft, a story, a reason to do what we do, and then an audience built around that, rather than taking pictures of ourselves.
For no good reason that we'll figure out later, like what the why is, like how can I monetize it. So
right.
But the thing that it told me was this is someone who is willing to put themselves out there and promote the thing that we're doing in a way that's harder for me, and it's still hard for me, you know, and likable, you know, affable, presents well, all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, well, this is somebody that I can work with, and doesn't have ego issues.
Yeah,
that's, you know,
that's a weird thing that I think about too. If we're talking about me for a second, is that I've shot myself in the leg for sure with my internet growth and audience based on, I guess, morals and based on what I like to think is being open-minded, right? Like, I'm not black and white on topics. I'm not controversial. I don't cause drama, right? That has stopped all of our careers at some point. But you're right. Like, I have, and now it's crazy because it's 10 years later. I've been doing it for a decade, so I don't think about it. But like, you know, you can probably find out a lot of weird things about me on the internet. I'm pretty much an open door. I make it a regular thing. Like, there's not a day I'm not doing something to hopefully help someone entertain something for the last 10 years. And that is like a commitment, again, versus what the movie's about. Right? Like, that's like me committing. And I remember it. I was at my aunt's funeral in Cleveland. This maybe the 6 months before the podcast started, the first one. And I remember sitting in my aunt's couch, and I remember sitting there, I think I need to make this a career. And I don't know what. And I'm looking at Instagram, this is going to be a career sometime. Like, I'm going to grow this thing. And no one had followers. Like, if you had 20K, it's insane. Right. It's like 2011. And you're like, oh shit. So it was like a conscious decision, again, to build a career on it, rather than build fame on it. You're faking followers, you're faking, which is the premise of how they go about that in this movie. Is it's all about buying fake shit.
Yeah.
And like posing, being a poser.
Right.
Like I've never even posted my real car on Instagram. I posted my collector car, like the car I bought for $8,000. Because I just don't do that. Like I don't need to do that.
Right.
I've only posted selfies when Omar and Bart yell at me for business to do it. You know, I don't.
Yeah.
I post my list as like a journal. I have flown first class. I don't post it. Yeah, I don't post it.
Yeah.
You know, like stuff like that is what the premise of this movie is. And not that I fucking flying private jets. Don't get me wrong. We don't got like that yet, kids. But I have in my lifetime.
Nor is that a goal.
Yeah, I have in my lifetime. I treated my mother to a trip that way because she'd never flown it. But that's not, hey, sip my wine and take a selfie.
Right.
Like, I guess intent of your content makes it so different from the circles that you and I run with.
Right.
To this movie. The Eric Helms, the Maurice songs, the Bart Kwans.
Right.
What is the intent of what you're doing? Bart wanted to be a comedian. He wanted to be in movies. But he wanted to be in movies because he wanted to be an entertainer. Not because he wanted to, be George Clooney with the Versace suit.
Right.
Even that's such a big difference.
Even Clooney backed into it. I was just listening to something about him the other day. Like he fucking cut his hair with a Flobian. That's not actual bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that on sets they cut your hair because they like they deal with everybody's hair, extras
Sure.
and everything, you know, so that it looks right with the.
In his generation, he's probably a bad example because he's a slightly different generation.
Yeah.
Like, not that you didn't make money in the movies in the 70s,
Yeah.
80s, 90s, but it's so, like, now it's such,
It's retarded.
like, it was just for the money.
Yeah.
Right, intent of your content, or intent of your, career choices, intent of your posts,
Yeah.
intent of your, right? Like, makes such a big difference. And I don't know what questions or if you want to work in chronological order of the movie, but things pop in my mind, which the movie does get rid of the documentary. It's really interesting when they start to bring up, they basically choose 3 people.
Mhm.
And as those 3
They're all transplants to LA. They're all from other places. That was an interesting point.
Oh, well, that's what everyone in LA talks about.
Yeah, like everybody's from somewhere else.
Yeah, if you're from LA, you're totally cool and normal. And if
Yeah.
you moved here, you're here for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And those are the people that quote unquote suck.
Yeah.
But the personal perspective of those 3 people, and I don't know, who knows, right? Because some documentaries are fed lines and scripted, and who knows.
Yeah.
But they show a cool.
We'll get back to that. We'll get
Yeah,
back to that.
I think they show a cool perspective on each person's personal journey with that moral line.
Yeah.
Because it really is. It becomes moral, and in our industry, just because, again, our intent is to educate,
Yeah.
that moral line is real strict for you. I'm not going to sell you a product I don't believe works. I'm
Right.
not going to sell you companies, people, whatever. I think that's trash. So we
Yeah.
don't do that. But other industries might be a little different, and maybe not. I mean, maybe if you're in the makeup industry and you're selling a de-wrinkle cream that doesn't work, you're part of that issue too.
Right.
But I found that probably the most interesting of the whole thing. Each person's. They talk about kind of like their mental challenges with it. And one of them kind of stomps the ground with his morals. Like, I don't want fake followers.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm worthy of an audience.
And
Is basically what he said.
he's the guy that he's the only one that they showed of all the people that they asked the question, how many followers do you have at the beginning, the audition, and he said, I don't know how many followers I have.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, trying to be,
The designer,
yeah, trying to be a designer in a very one-off kind of way. Like, I don't even know how that works. I don't know how you start there.
Yeah, I know some people like that kind of in the vintage scene. Basically, what he would do is like handcraft vintage clothes for those out there that maybe, and yeah, they just.
He would start with vintage clothes, and then he would like
design
on top of them.
Yeah.
Which
Which
is-
it's like a new trend, and I don't know how you necessarily make money for it unless you're doing it for Justin Bieber, you know, and he's buying it for
Right.
$5,000. I don't know how you make everyday money because the amount of effort into each item is.
Insane.
And you can still sell it for a lot, even from like an average collector could buy it for a couple hundred. But yeah, I don't know how you make a living.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's all. It seems very peaceful to me.
Yeah, but that's all this, right? Like even Instagram, and the one girl had like a job, the one that took a more typical route with the Instagram.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to be an actress. It seemed like she had some skill, and she seemed actually morally had a decent compass.
Right.
But even her, right? Like I don't know where I was going, but basically, I don't know how any of them.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know how any of them really make money. The one kid they talk about his job a lot, who works for like realtors.
He's like a gopher, essentially.
Yeah.
He's an executive assistant-ish kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she talked about waiting or doing kind of typical thing for a while. And so obviously, spoiler alert, she turns this into a career kind of. But I think that's what everyone kind of does if you're choosing that type of career. Musician, actress, high-end fashion designer. Like you're going to have to work at a bar.
Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
like you have to do that thing. Where even us, in some instances, you can draw a line where, like, even when I met you, I was running 2 gyms. I was selling gym memberships at a commercial gym and personal training, and I was running my own gym, and then coming to super training 4 times a week to try to learn so like, I was kind of eating the shit. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry to anyone out there, but like, being a regular personal trainer, do what makes you happy. But in a totem pole,
Some people enjoy it.
in a
Other
totem
people do it as a means to an end.
Yeah, and at a totem pole of like the fitness industry, you take a weekend test and you get a job.
Yeah.
Right, and there's you can say that about a lot of jobs. You don't even have to take a weekend certificate. You can start a podcast. You're not wrong. But right on the totem pole of coaches, that typically is the bottom of, and that's why I mentioned that I was doing the quote unquote bar job while I was trying to figure out how to podcast or make YouTube or whatever. Right, I don't even know what I do now.
Well, a really interesting thing at the top of this show, some numbers that blew my mind. Over 40 million people worldwide have over 1 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah. How many people are in the world? 9 billion?
8, 7?
7 billion?
7. Okay. So that's a lot, though. That's a pretty significant percentage. Over 100 million people have over 100,000 followers.
I've heard something, and I don't think it's Instagram related, but I've heard something like the most famous people in the world are in China, because they like get every single person that follows
There's
them.
so many people.
Well, and because they all follow the exact same people. So like we kind of hear, right? Like on Instagram you can see like who you follow or who you're mutuals with follow a page. So you go to like Dwayne Johnson, you're like, all right, every fucker I know follows The Rock. Over there, it's like that with all their quote unquote celebrities. Like they all just follow the same shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A review that I read of this said that it made the point that maybe 1,400, 1,500 people are actually celebrities in the world. And, like celebrities that are not based on their Instagram
Yeah,
or
even
their
that,
social media.
And even that, it is, they talk about that, they get it real philosophical to start the show, or start the documentary, like what is influence, what is fame, it's just like this nothing.
Yeah.
Because even like Brad Pitt, you could say, or whoever, all the Brad Pitt fans can come for me on Twitter, whoever,
Yeah.
like, are you that skilled of an actor, or did you kind of meet this luck that makes you in this role, and you continue to get roles because of feedback? Because Instagram's kind of the same thing.
I think it's always all those things.
Right,
I think there's
yeah.
always has to be a luck component because it's getting selected to do a particular thing. If he's not in Thelma and Louise with his shirt off, I don't know if he ever becomes Brad Pitt.
Right, but is he great in Thelma and Louise? Like, this is the best actor ever.
Good, but like I mean,
could someone else do it?
Yeah, for sure.
And same with Instagram. We're like, because I talk shit on it too. I'm guilty of it. Like, you're hot, get a follow. But it's not the case. There's a lot of hot people in this world. There's no following.
It's crazy. It's really crazy how that. I mean,
So you could argue it's the same thing of like fame. Like we talk shit on these people that get an Instagram, but you still have to post consistently. You still have to do something that gets you an algorithm to get people to follow you. You can't just be hot. And my point is that not every actor that actually, by that definition, is quote unquote famous, is good at what they do.
Yeah. Not everybody like my.
What's the main one people rip? Nick Cage.
Yeah. But he's Francis Ford Coppola's nephew, and so he gets some advantages from there. Although he changed his last name so that people wouldn't just automatically know or whatever. But he's done some good shit. Anyway,
Point being, like, if that's our example of someone that can't act with shit, right? And he's been in tons of movies, maybe they're, again, who are we to judge that this person's just hot, but posted consistently, which they show here again, right? That girl's really pretty.
Yeah, no, especially they did a makeover on all three of them.
Yeah.
And like
she really pretty.
hers was dramatic.
Yeah.
She looked dramatically different.
They made her look very Hollywood.
Yeah,
she looked like an actress.
Yeah, she did.
But again, like they kind of, I think they did a really good job. Actually, now I look back on it. Jim watched it I think a couple times. I watched it as I fall asleep. And they
didn't know shit. So.
Yeah, Jim was more professional than I. They showed a good job in the documentary what like content creation actually kind of feels like.
Yeah.
Like her photo shoot, they're like, oh yeah, we're here for 5 hours. And then like cut scene, like, oh yeah, that lasted 5 days, we gotta do another photo shoot.
Right, yeah.
And that is the feeling you get. Not everyone does photo shoots like they set up, although I have, and we did have.
Yes.
But that feeling, like, oh, well, that lasted me 3 days. Okay, what content's next?
What's next?
And that feeling is really stressful.
Well, they call it, he calls it out as feed the beast, and that's an expression we've been using for a long time because when you make content, you do, even if it's not, like, just photographs and with reasonably good captions, that's considered content.
Yeah.
Or it could also be a lot beefier where you're actually providing information. Like, they're not providing information.
Sure.
They're talking about their personal experience. Right. It is completely about them, unless they're, hawking a product, which is, like I said, maybe not the most genuine thing in the world. I'm looking at my notes. There were 4,000 applicants. And they refer to this as a social experiment, and I think that's actually a good way to describe it because, like, if you're doing any kind of like scientific research or social scientific research or whatever, things don't necessarily always play out the way that you expect them to.
Sure.
Like, you have an idea, you have a hypothesis going into it that you're going to get, this is going to be what happens, or like this was such a social experiment where they're saying we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're just going to throw the spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. So it sounds like the original premise was to buy fake followers, buy fake comments, And the goal then turned into the creators for the 3 test subjects getting free things or paid things, even from fake comments and fake followers, which I automatically knew that because of social experiments, that everything we do, marketing, branding is a lifelong social experiment, that if you see someone with a following, whether you think it's fake or the otherwise, they're likely to gain organic followers too. If you see someone with 100,000 followers, they're going to gain followers faster than someone with 100 followers.
Right.
Just because of that social proof. You're like, oh, this person has some kind of value.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow that. Which later, again, to the same girl, what's her name?
Dominique.
Later to Dominique showed to be proof. Even though they said one of the tests they run, they think was a fake test to see how many fake followers they have in real followers, they thought the test was lying. I actually think it might not be. And they didn't mention that.
Very well might not be.
Yeah, they didn't mention that as a possibility. He's like, oh, which just shows me that this is probably a scam too. But what it shows me is that even though they bought her whatever amount, 20,000 fake ones, she could have gained 60 organic ones.
Potentially.
Because if you get that, if you get the comments, if you get all that stuff, the algorithm doesn't know.
Yeah.
And you may appear on more people's browser, but now, especially with Instagram, the interesting thing to me, it's not that interesting. I guess Instagram is like the first social media to be so pop culture, where Facebook is an international social media 100%, and maybe arguably the first and godfather of it, but it's not so pop culture. You know, it's, again, a Brad Pitt isn't going live, or if they mentioned John Legend using it for a good thing,
Right.
John Legend isn't going live on Facebook. He didn't do that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He went live on Instagram.
Right.
Instagram is kind of like the social media of people. It's the social media of the pop. And Facebook was the social media, now it's social media politics, but it was the social media of interpersonal relationships.
Right. Yeah, because people, you have up to 5,000 friends.
And they call them friends.
Yeah.
They don't call them followers.
Right.
And so it built itself that way.
Although you do have followers, and if you actually dig in there, you can find the people who follow you that did try to friend you.
Yeah. And there's business pages and all that. But point being,
But they didn't. There weren't business pages at the beginning.
right.
I mean, there was none of that. It was all interpersonal. So it's like when you see somebody in your feed on Facebook, they're likely to be your friend.
Yeah,
Or
or you accept it.
that you accepted it somewhere along the line. Where with Instagram, like lately I've had an issue where I would get a bunch of people showing up in my timeline and I don't know who they are.
Yeah, there's a
And I check and it's like I'm following them, but they're not following me, and I don't believe I've ever seen them before. So I don't really know how this happened.
Yeah.
And then obviously this is somewhat personal, but like people that we have dealt with in the past who are influencers. Influencer, they actually describe influencer in this documentary as half entrepreneur, half celebrity.
I also the term entrepreneur kind of rubs me wrong just because of how people use it. But like at its core, I think influencer and entrepreneur is cool if everyone automatically just like had morals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the issue is how people use it and the type of people that use it.
So just in my own like butthurt way here, people that we know that I used to have mutual follows with who have fallen off for whatever reason. Like I don't post a lot on Instagram, so I'm not a tough follow.
Yeah.
So if you unfollow me, you had to have done it because you just didn't want to see anything from me at all anymore. And if that's the case, and I figure it out, then I'm gonna unfollow you because if I was a bridge too far, then you're definitely a bridge too far. Especially the folks who spend a long time with like lengthy me-splaining of where they are in their lives, and I don't care anymore.
They didn't dig into that kind of part of it. They didn't really dig into like captions and content and like what hits and what doesn't hit. They didn't really even talk about it other than like eye-catching and stuff. What I do find interesting is that I think this documentary could be remade and be insanely unique still if you chose a different platform.
Yeah.
Instagram is obviously like that's why I went into the explanation of that compared to Facebook.
Yeah.
But like YouTube, totally different conversation happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I would watch that documentary.
Yeah, Twitch, totally different conversation.
Yeah.
Podcast, even more difficult conversation happening. Twitter, like there's people that literally same thing. You choose the platform you try to go.
Yeah.
Some people say like I'm gonna try to grow my Twitter.
Yeah.
And they'll do whatever on there.
Yeah.
Instagram, obviously, again, because it is pop culture, and it does now, like the quote-unquote influencer, I have a negative term, which again I didn't know the world thought influencers sucked. I thought they sucked, and yeah, everyone knows. knows. Like my mom knows. Everyone knows. Random chicks with random bikini pics go, and random dudes are sitting on Ferrari with their shirt off, and then they grow. But YouTube one I think would be interesting because, and maybe I'm biased, but I think the other ones, and I talk about this in marketing and branding when I have conversations with companies or people I talk to, the amount of like skill, engagement, connection to the creator. There's a pyramid, and Instagram is the lowest, it's the bottom figures. You know, it's short content, it's quick content. They're making it even quicker and shorter for you to absorb more and more. You're posting more and more, and then the thought that goes into it. Although, granted, some people put a ton of thought into it and a ton of work into the photo shoots. But broad brush that versus YouTube, which may be the next layer. Broad brush into Twitch or podcasts, which are arguably on a similar level for me because you get, depending on how you edit it, a raw, unfiltered version of that human being that you listen to for hours.
Right.
Twitch probably actually would take the top because the typical Twitch streamer streams 40 to 80 hours a week, and the typical podcast guy maybe 2 hours a week or something. But point being, you get that connection to who that person is, and they have to have some.
Yeah, because you're talking about like a continuum of how much exposure to the real person you get, I guess is what we're saying. The longer you spend with them, the closer to the real person you get. It's hard to keep up an image, an attitude, a fake lifestyle for that many hours a week. It's just nearly impossible.
Instagram, you're taking one picture, which takes 3 seconds of a 24-hour day, where even this podcast is going to take, counting setup, 2 hours per day.
Right.
And it's not edited. And again, some podcasts are built more like a story, so they're edited or an interview or whatever. Point being, but even those, you're listening to them, you're more in touch with what they're doing, and I think the skill of the creator goes up with that. Where YouTube can be highly edited too. Man talks to people that literally can't put a logical sentence together in person. Somehow they come up with YouTube videos highly edited, every other word quick cuts.
A million cuts. They look like I don't know. You're probably Max Headroom. You remember Max Headroom?
No.
Okay. Max Headroom was a creation of British TV, but it was like a British-American hybrid thing, where this journalist in the future, it's funny because it predicted the whole like journalist, like solo journalist, where you like have the camera and you're talking to the camera yourself, whatever. This guy is hit in the head and he's in a coma, and they download his consciousness and they create this AI of him, and then he comes back, and so he's in the computer, and he's real, and the computer version of him creates a different personality over time. So it's not exactly him anymore. It looks a particular way, but the cuts were funny. It intended to make you believe that he was CGI. Anyway, so back to your point.
YouTube, yes, that can happen, but the connection to all these things. So the point is of this thing, I think you can kind of, if you buy fake followers, if you have even someone in marketing or social media, you can kind of grow a lot of accounts.
Yeah.
Where I just don't think you can make a world record or top level podcast, which is the randos. It's just much more difficult. That scale of difficulty of the content creator, connection to people. There's so many millions of factors that go into it, and the lower on that totem pole you go, the less factors go into it.
Yeah. I am not 100% sure that the first podcast that we started caught wind on its own. I think that there's a possibility that the owner of the platform that we were on is not somebody that I've talked to, but not somebody we know. Like hit it with some bots initially to get it up into the Apple at the time iTunes algorithm.
You never know.
But it sustained for a very long time.
Years.
Yeah, and when things were not going like that for it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of thing here, where a little bit of juice at the beginning seems to potentially make a difference for them. But where was I going? I totally lost. I know. Actually, speaking of bots, there are people out there making millions on selling bots. The site that they use is called Famoid, Famoid, and they looked at it and said maybe 50% to 60% of famous people's followers followers are bots.
I
which
do
is
wonder.
crazy.
Yeah, I do wonder how real that is. And the other factor too, I've never bought anything in my life, but you get bots.
Yeah, you do, for sure.
Someone botted me on Twitch, so I have 50,000 followers that are definitely not real.
Yeah.
I probably have like 10,000 followers on there, and you get random bots following you, and everyone does, right? You get random spam on your cell phone, you get random spam on your emails, kind of similar thing with followers. And so maybe Kim Kardashian didn't buy them.
Yeah.
Maybe they just accumulated there, or a company that she had a contract with. Who knows, right?
That's a really good point.
Yeah, you don't know what happened. Maybe Kim Kardashian, because everyone will automatically say, like, Kim Kardashian bought it. No, that bitch is really famous. Like, she doesn't need to do that.
She leaked a porn.
Yeah. Her dad was famous.
Yeah.
She got adult famous, and then married, arguably, in that second, was the most famous dude in the world.
Yeah.
Kanye. So,
Yeah.
she has real followers too, but everyone kind of has them. They just systematically bought them, which I always thought from a business mind, I'm like, well, that makes no sense. One, I just wouldn't do it; it seems morally wrong to me. But two, it seems like I'm trying to sell things. This is my life. This is my career, and I want people to interact. And I want people to help. Why would I buy bots? I can't help but deadlift. But again, what I argued myself earlier is that if I had 1 million followers, chances are I would grow faster than the amount of followers I have right now because of the social proof of that number on my profile.
Right, and actually, I can give you a for instance. We're not going to do this, everybody. We're not going to do this. However, the gym's Instagram account has about 7,000-ish followers.
Yeah.
If we had 10,000, we'd have swipe up run story, and that would and it would probably only cost us about $100.
Yeah, which is wild.
To do that, to get to that point, and text messages, and you could completely make an argument for that.
Yeah, no,
we're not going to do it because
companies
I got
do
a swipe up, you've got a big following and a swipe up, so there's like not that incentive. But man, if you didn't have that,
Yeah, no, I bet you there's tons of personal people that definitely do it, trying to grow, but I bet you 90% of companies do it.
and it is just a segment of your audience that's ever going to buy anything anyway.
Right.
And so inflating your audience is probably not the worst thing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot of negatives.
Right.
Besides my morals just feeling weird.
Yeah, that's the problem. And then we're talking about new platforms. We're both on this new app, Clubhouse, which is just in beta. Yeah, it's an invite only at this point.
Sorry, bitches, you're not allowed.
But an interesting thing about it is that it's all vocal. It's all spoken stuff, and it's not for the large part recorded. I was listening to. Yeah, I was right. I was listening to one the other day that actually did serious recording. But for the most part, and now Mark Cuban is getting into podcasting it's kind of the marriage of this Clubhouse thing, which is essentially a bunch of conference calls that you can listen in on.
Yeah.
Or participate in, or start your own, or whatever. And podcasting. So, like, essentially you could have a bunch of people on the same thing. I don't know how listenable that is, but people complain about Clubhouse because it's largely real time.
Right.
And podcast is what they call asynchronous, so you can listen to it whenever.
The idea, I never thought about it because we talked about Clubhouse a little bit, and I looked at it, and I haven't really messed around with it too much. It's been pretty crazy 2 weeks, but now that you think, I think about it, and we're talking about it, I think Clubhouse could be a really cool niche that you don't record. Kind of like live music.
Yeah.
Like you go see your favorite band, or you listen to their podcast, you listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, but how cool is it that you have a one-off conversation and you got to listen to it, be a part of it?
Or going to see a stand-up comedian.
Right, in person though is way funnier.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little slightly unfiltered stuff,
Yeah.
right? Because the Netflix edits the special a little different. Stand-up video stuff's funny too, but there could be a unique growth there, I think.
And there is definitely, we're going to bring this around to fitness in a second here, but there is a fitness component of that. Jason Sleep is on there kind of a lot.
Yeah, they're doing like a mastermind.
A bunch of different.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, you can learn, you can talk. People do that on Discord, on Twitch sometimes. They'll drag someone into the conversation, like a random person, and do like a Q&A or a debate. They do it politically too. I think that's cool. You know, say we do like a live podcast that's not going to be recorded. And yeah, I don't know if Clubhouse has this feature yet, but you have like a waiting list. And you can drag someone in and just ask a question or do a 30-second segment and then you boot them out.
Yeah, it's kind of a hand wave or hand raise.
Yeah, yes. Stuff like that I think could be really cool, not only for our content creation, but just in general. Again, to add a different aspect, and that's just a chat room, just an audio chat room, or just a podcast.
So an interesting thing about back to the documentary for a minute, with both of the guys, they're reasonably good shape. One guy's on the softer side, but you see him shirtless a lot, a whole lot. Like he can who knows, because you know how much weight the camera adds. So who knows what he actually weighs? Doesn't have he's ab-ish, but not soft abs.
Definitely above average fit.
Yeah, but used to be fat.
Yeah.
And in part made that change because of I don't know, employability or popularity or whatever.
Yeah.
He's gay, so
Yeah.
the other guy, he's the one that they take to a gym, and they said it's like a warehouse, whatever. But that looks like a real gym to me. That didn't look like a warehouse.
No. It was definitely a boot camp, Hollywood gym.
In Gardena, which is a shitty part of LA.
Yeah, not great.
But it's a big space, so that's probably why it's not,
Yeah.
And he and another guy one flip of a giant tire, probably 700-800 pound tire.
Yeah. What's funny to me that I didn't realize people do is basically, and I guess I realized people do it, and it pissed me off, but I never thought of why they did it. I thought they did it just to feel cool, but people probably do it like this movie shows, is I would put Jim's MacBook on my story. So I love this new Mac, kind of fake that I got a new Mac from Apple.
Right.
In hopes that another computer company would send me stuff.
Yeah.
And that's literally what they said this mission was. It's we're going to post, a workout and tag that gym so other gyms reach out to us. Or we're going to go to this spa or fake this spa so they think we're a spa creator. Maybe I'm dumb. You guys think I'm dumb because of my missed opportunities. That's never once crossed my fucking mind.
Yeah.
I'll shout things out that I enjoy. Like Spike Energy Drink. Never paid me, never sponsored me, never even sent me a free case ever. I've bought every one I've ever drank. And I post it because I think it's delicious and it has a shit ton of caffeine, right? But I don't do that in hopes that Rockstar was this guy loves energy drinks, we're sending them energy drinks. That'd be cool, and stuff like that might have happened over the last 10 years, but that's never my intent to post that. That was literally their intent. All right, what do you want? Hold this microphone. All right, we're going to post this Sennheiser so that Rode reaches out to us. It is a good strategy, and on my moral compass, it's not the worst and it's not the best. It's even. It's not the slimiest thing by any means. It's a little bit of the business now, but it's just never crossed my mind. And that was their sole mission. We're going to pretend you're at the Hilton pool because then the Marriott pool is going to invite you for a spa day.
Yeah.
And I'm just
I wouldn't have thought of that, but there's, excuse me, it's kind of whatever vertical you're trying to work in.
Right.
If you're trying to hospitality, post a lot of hospitality stuff, and then you start getting you get attention from hospitality.
Yeah.
We get it. Well, okay. So we get fitness stuff.
Yeah. We get pretty Gen Pop fitness stuff.
We do, and that's totally not where we usually operate, which is interesting. We're testing a product right now because we haven't really had ads on the show in a while, other than for our own stuff, which is we're gonna get there in a minute. There are reasons why we haven't really repped anything that we didn't feel comfortable about, which and we're not out there seeking it currently either. So people come to us. It doesn't mean we're a huge show anymore or any of that kind of stuff. It just means that they're looking to. It's a numbers game. They're trying to get in front of X number of people because they know what their conversion rate is.
Yeah.
So we're testing a product right now. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I wouldn't have necessarily sought it out.
Yeah.
On the flip side, here for the gym, we had a company give us some equipment. After that's the first time.
Yeah. Shout out to the boys, Keith, over at Honest, and some kettlebells at the gym. Yeah, and I don't want to act like I'm some moral saint either. I have written business emails to companies. Hey, I like your product. Would you like to work together?
And these people did a lot of that stuff. I have X number of Instagram followers.
Right, which is the game. I've had other friends because I know, obviously I know a bunch of people that do this content creation for a living, and they'll get free vacations and shit. And they're like, oh, what'd you do? We the hotel and stuff. Some of it just feels weird to me. Not that, again, I'm not judging anyone. It's not whether it's good, bad, you're going to hell or heaven, but some of it just kind of feels weird to me, so I haven't done it. But yeah, fucking one of the, I think the girl ended up winning Dominique. Shout out to Dominique, winner of the show. She got a full paid trip.
And then
spa days and all that stuff. yeah, that sounds dope. I've been offered like one thing kind of like that. The other thing is that it's so popular now, some of them feel like scams. So you don't know who you're talking to or what the hell they want.
Right.
Another whole side of this thing is that this stuff, and they kind of mentioned in the beginning of what created the influencer is reality TV.
Right.
And now things are dipping back and forth, and we've had friends or people we know go from like growing an Instagram account to be invited on reality TV. And I've been invited to a couple shows. I think I told you one of them. I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to promote their shows, but I've been invited to like 2 or 3 shows. And again, maybe I'm just a dick and I'm just more pretentious than I intended. But like all that feels weird. Like I don't want to be that reality TV guy that they throw vodka at and have to act dumb on TV. Like I can act dumb on our own podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, numerous different attempts to create a reality show out of lifting what I was doing, 10, 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
Didn't work out in part because the people participating wanted to do real things and the people producing wanted you to do fake things because there's a lot more control in terms of filming fake things,
of course,
and not having to shoot a lot of extra stuff. And I can tell you the documentaries that I have been behind the scenes of, there's a lot of not real stuff that ends up, and reality shows are even less real.
You either have to feed them lines, or you have to feed a situation where lines are going to happen.
Right.
Like, either we're lifting weights, me and Jim are deadlifting in here, and you're feeding us lines to make it interesting, or we're deadlifting in here and you throw a live snake at Jim.
Right.
Like one of those two things, and then just film a reaction. Because that's crazy, not something funny about it. Like you have to do one of those things, and neither of them sound fun to me.
Exactly.
So I don't want to do either.
Exactly. But now, could it have had an impact 10, 11 years ago to have lifting like that on TV?
Yeah.
Especially at the height of the reality stuff, the Jersey Shore days.
Yeah.
It may have made a huge difference. What ended up happening really was CrossFit and Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram had a giant impact on fitness, on lifting,
100%.
period, because you didn't have to put as much effort into like creating a whole YouTube video or whatever to show a particular clip of lifting content or whatever.
Being fit as like a sport.
Yeah.
Or being fit to be quote unquote cool.
Yeah.
And then, like bodybuilding got cooler too. Bodybuilding's grown.
Yeah.
How many, like, I don't know the numbers because we've heard USAPL powerlifting numbers, like growth over the last 10 years, but I bet you the amount of people that compete in bodybuilding, like NPC, is quadrupled. Like it's cool to be that guy on the front of that.
Yeah.
Where like we didn't know, like bodybuilding as I knew it, and we'll get into these movies in later episodes, but like the Ronnie Coleman documentaries, like that doesn't look cool. It's kind of cool because by the third movie he has a Hummer, and you're like, oh, he made some money, that's cool. But otherwise, he's eating dry ass chicken and just doing lunges in the Texas heat. Like that's not cool.
Exactly.
Where now you watch YouTube or Instagram, and those guys are doing crunches with 3 hot chicks around them, and they're hopping in their Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Like it definitely grew all of it to good and bad.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that point. So, without totally spoiling the whole thing.
Yeah, I might order it.
Not really. I don't think so. One person bails early.
Yeah.
One person pauses for a long time, and one person, when conditions in the world, society, or whatever change, goes, oh, wow, like this thing that I'm doing is not that important.
Yeah.
And
I think all their moral compasses show in a good light.
Yeah.
Even the one person that goes all in never looks like slimy.
Yeah.
And I don't think they come off slimy. I don't think they're intense slimy. And the other two, maybe are more like me. Maybe we're more pretentious than we think. And so, like, I don't think they're doing something that's slimy either. Like, buying fake followers is kind of lame, but it's not like there's way worse business people out there than buying fake followers, right? Like, there's way shittier people.
Yeah.
Scammers than buying a couple fake followers, and they both feel weird about that.
Right.
And
I think I actually pauses because somebody trolls him about it.
Yeah, that part. So I wish they almost dug deeper. They talk a little bit to him and some of the other people about like their mental health or how they feel about it. I don't know if I watched a YouTube video or even just other streamers, other content creators, because it is like mental health is a huge thing right now because of COVID and the world. Right, suicide rates in young people is up. Like there's a bunch of craziness happening. But in a lot of social media, mental health people are talking about like the consumption of media and how fast it moves, and then the comparison that you have to do looking at these rich, famous people all day and idolizing that rather than like even if you idolize LeBron James, you idolize that he's dunking on people, right? Like so you can go outside and practice dunking on people, like not that you're gonna beat him, but right, like it's kind of a healthy-ish person. You like what he does, and it's a healthy sport. Where now you're just comparing like how that person looks compared to you, what's in their bank account compared to you, what they drive compared to you, the type of food, the fancy restaurant. Like it's such unhealthy comparison happening. So it
makes you feel worse about your own situation.
So I don't know if they said that here because I watched another documentary. They talked about it, and I was sitting there. I'm like, you're right. Like 50% of who I follow makes me feel worse than honest.
Yeah, I was gonna.
And like I really thought like I hope I don't do that.
Yeah.
Like my whole goal and my thing is to always make you feel the same as my does.
Yeah,
I never want you to feel worse.
That's fair.
And it's so true. And so they talk a little bit about the creator's mental health because we always talk about it from pop culture, right? Again, which is true. The comparison comes from the audience, not from the creator.
Right.
But there's extreme mental health from both. We're gonna have issues because the creator, like you said, feeding the beast, the constant.
Yeah.
You're comparing yourself to other creators or your audience, and you're constantly trying to one up yourself. It's kind of this neurotic hamster wheel you're on as a creator.
Yeah.
And as a creator, you're still the audience to other people. And so you're kind of getting this double whammy of very unhealthy where, again, you go to Brad Pitt or George Clooney, you work really hard for 6 months, you put out a movie, those reviews probably hurt a little bit, whether they're good or bad, right? But you get reviews for a week, on to the next project, which is maybe 2 years later.
Yeah.
As a content creator, depending on the platform, but any platform, even my YouTube, I'm getting comments calling me fat on a video that's 3 years ago.
Yeah, because in YouTube land, people don't understand the passage of time.
Right.
I
Well,
was
because sometimes,
11 years old, and people believe that it happened yesterday.
And you're getting critiqued every minute, every hour by a different person.
Yeah.
So it's so different than George Clooney. And even you're judging George Clooney's acting.
Yeah.
And George Clooney wasn't very good at that. You're not
Yeah.
saying George Clooney is a fat piece of shit on steroids.
Yeah, and I was listening to a review of a show that Denzel Washington is in. Denzel is great, but like, why did he do this movie? This is super generic. This is like a movie made by committee. Why did somebody do this? Why did he do this? Was there money or whatever? It's like, is he good in this? And it's like, well, he's himself, because that's Somebody said that there are, in terms of actors, there are like aliens and real people. Probably said this before on the show. Aliens are the people who can transform themselves into anything, and real people they adapt who they really are to fit that character to tell the story. And he's definitely the latter.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a little bit himself in everything.
Yeah.
Like, Training Day was the most asshole Denzel Washington ever was.
But he's not that different from Remember the Titans
Right.
coach. Like he's kind of an ass. He's like a mild asshole.
Right, exactly.
It is interesting. But so, going to the point of the two guys kind of pausing or not, they talk about their mental health. But I do wish it's all just like a different movie, really. But the mental health of the audience and the mental health of the creator, I think will be topics we'll be seeing for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think they kind of try to do that with the Social Dilemma a little bit in terms of. But I did not like that show. I got to tell you, I was falling asleep and I turned it off and I didn't go back to it. I was going to try to actually have watched it by the time this happened. I know you've seen it. But
I watched it.
I don't. There's so much of the just side bullshit stuff that this show doesn't have.
Yeah.
The recreations and weird Pixar inside out kind of scenes where you're supposed to be seeing inside a person's brain or whatever. Like, I could get it without that level of whatever.
Yeah, some people I think that make documentaries feel like the content isn't good, so then they add in all this fluff rather than
necessary.
this one has zero full.
Yeah,
This
felt like if somebody took one of the older MTV things and made it feel more authentic.
I was gonna say just a YouTube video, like a good
like a really good one.
like a semi-produced YouTube video where it was kind of raw footage.
But it's good 4K content though. Look at
It did. And some of those are really good. The True Lives on MTV.
Yeah.
I think those are really well shot. They're basic, condensed, half-an-hour documentaries on a certain topic that follow 1 to 3 people, and you can learn a lot about people. Maybe I'm biased because it's like my era of TV that I watched a lot. But this did 100% kind of feel like that.
So, we're gonna get back around to fitness before we bring this one in for a landing. they used fitness as part of a broad portfolio for a couple of them. Like one of them just on how he looked, and one of them in a performative way. They had him in gyms and stuff like that.
Yeah, trying to get free workouts from trainers.
But they took kind of a broad perspective on all in terms of activities for all of them. For at least for two of them, they did like fancy vacation spots and that kind of stuff. High-end products, spa shit, whatever. The other guy, they never really did for him what would have worked in the vertical he was trying to go to.
Yeah, I think because we don't know how it was edited and actually filmed, and again, we've been around people that grew up in movies, and he could have called it quits really early in the show.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of felt like to me. So they never got to that, but they wanted him to go timeline for timeline, so they kind of pushed his timeline out.
Yeah.
Because you're right, like they never, basically they built the character of who these Instagrammers were with the other two not.
Yeah. Yeah, and his own content that you see, the Instagram content you see before he becomes part of this project, is better.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's like high produced.
Yeah, it's better than what they do with it.
Yeah, but then again, if you're not buying the followers, you're not. I think why they chose the Hilton Hotel Spa thing with the other two is that is just like the typical thing. And again, because of many things they said that are actually more relevant and better to be thinking about them than watching it. Talking about making people feel bad in a way.
Yeah.
And making people, these quote unquote influencers, make you want to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's why they chose those verticals, right? Like, oh, yeah, $1 billion steak, $1 billion hotel,
Right.
$1 billion car, hot shit. Rather than the other guy was actually kind of creating content.
Yeah, he was already. Yeah,
But you know what I mean? Like normal, what I like about organic, authentic content.
right.
He was just doing him.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not sure exactly how to approach this. I'm just throw it out there, and maybe we'll do it in terms of a number scale or percentages or whatever.
Yeah.
People that we're aware of who have made have created large followings in the fitness world.
Yeah.
Right now, people that we know, people we know of, whatever. To what extent do we think that is all authentic growth, and to what?
Some people watch it.
Yeah.
I would say with the people we know, I would say I honestly only think maybe 20% probably bought stuff. Is probably what I would say because a lot of the people we know, especially the people we associate with, but let's even say people in our medium to outer circle that we know, a lot of them have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And just chances are you're going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You do it for 5 to 8 years, you're going to go somewhere. But we do know people in our circle for sure. I know that people are bought followers.
Okay. What about how reflective their Instagram is of their actual life?
So 100% being that their life is their Instagram.
Yeah.
And the opposite. See, this is where I have mental health issues. Is I get caught up thinking, fuck, these guys are killing it. You know?
So and so has
All that.
So-and-so
Yeah.
has a Lambo.
Yeah. Or man, they must be so happy looking.
Yeah.
And so in my head, because I still am, I've been referencing the Lost Boys a lot, probably Peter Pan. Just because I feel like a kid still.
I thought you were thinking about the vampire movie.
No, I've never seen that.
It's right, 90s.
Omar talks about it a lot though.
Okay.
You got a fucking Jedi brain. I'm a kid, you know, and so I'm still back here damn, they're really love life, killing it. So in my head, they're 100%, but truth is probably even fitness and even these quote unquote people that act all authentic and organic and try to relate to you and show vulnerability and kind of the typical virtue signaling, which is every single content creator now. They're probably 10 to 20% real life.
And how many of them are walking around with abs all the time? Or do they take an absolute shit ton of pictures and just let it roll?
I would say that percent actually goes up. I think a lot of people that we know aren't happy and starve themselves, work themselves to death, take a bunch of performance-enhancing drugs, and are kind of jacked.
Yeah, I think that the percentage of performance-enhancing drug use is high.
Yeah, that's really high. I think the eating disorder is high. I think the mental health is being unhealthy is high, and not that mine is healthy. I'm a wreck. But mine's just a wreck because I'm a wreck. I don't think I caused it to be a wreck.
And I wonder what influence the social media has on that. Like, are these things that these people were doing anyway? Like when you go to the Arnold or the Olympia, you see a bunch of people walking around who don't necessarily, especially years ago, didn't have any social media following because there almost wasn't social media.
Which makes
they
it
were
better.
still crazy, like jacked, but kind of fat jacked, and wearing almost no clothes, and you know, toward what end? I guess creating their own persona, whether or not it really reflects who they are.
Yeah, well, that's what goes back to the intent of the content. The first couple of Olympias I went to, you know, I don't know if respect's the right word, but I like that better because I know Johnny over here is taking loads of steroids and tanning the living fuck out of himself because he loves body.
He's turning himself into a Gucci bag.
But he loves it.
Yeah.
Where now, you go to the Arnold or Olympia, you're just kind of like, are you doing that just for this Instagram picture?
Yeah. Right.
And
that's a fair point.
And again, to say one's right or wrong, whatever, it's your life. What do I give a fuck? But to me, I like a guy that fucking loves it. He loves catching a pump, saying what's up to people in the gym, listening to AC/DC, and going into the tanning booth for 10 hours a month.
Yeah.
Opposed to the guy that's just doing it because it might be cool for money or it's
right. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that. I was gonna say, I do wonder about how much performance enhancing drug use has increased because of Instagram and social media and stuff.
Probably a lot.
And I think that there's a mental health component to that. People don't want to say it, but I think it's really true.
Sure. No, I don't think there's like real studies, but I know there's some.
I think that you say that there are no emotional side effects. You're wrong.
There's a lot, and the long term. I even think there's light evidence showing like intellectual stuff that's affected by it.
Yeah.
And so it definitely is a real thing. And again, intent of content. Are you promoting to get people to think you're so cool with your big muscles, your ass, and 3 hot chicks? What's the point of that? Like why? And some people, I don't know if it's self-awareness, and they're just so in the how do I make money, how do I grow, how do I make money, how do I grow, they're not even thinking about that. Or is it another kind of mental health thing where they're so feeling less than self-conscious esteem that they have to build themselves up in a particular manner to feel better about themselves. A lot of it is, yes, sadly, mental health. And I say that term broadly. Right? Some people may be diagnosed with having issues, and some people might just be so self-conscious that they allow their actions to be more sporadic towards maybe something that's not overall fulfilling to them. And that's something that I just debate on myself every single day, right? Like, I like making money. It makes me feel good. I like freedom. I like financial freedom. So am I doing that just because I love cars and I want to go buy, an Audi R8, which I'm going to do? Or is it, or is that my ego speaking?
Oh, dude, I saw a Tesla Model S yesterday that had an iridescent silver wrap on it.
Yeah.
I thought I had accidentally time traveled.
I love all that. Oh, yeah,
it's crazy.
Have you seen Geo's?
No.
Geo got like a chameleon, bronze wrap.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really sick.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. So I sort of the final piece of the impact on of social media and YouTube and whatever on the strength world is what percentage do you think are faking how lifts look by using fake plates or angles or whatever, or trying to clean up how a lift looked?
I actually think that's probably gone down. Because, like, typically, right, old adage was you'd be so dehydrated and so pumped full of steroids going into a bodybuilding show that you would lift fake weights so you didn't get injured.
Yeah.
Because you want your photo shoot to be in your best condition, but you can't bench 400.
Right.
And that is an old adage in all lifting. Like, the leaner you get, you got to do higher reps and not train heavy. But the truth is a lot of that's performance-enhancing drugs, and how dehydrated you are from them, that your tendons can't keep up, and you will get injured.
Yeah.
But for the normal person, if you're dieting, you can still lift heavy, probably be fine.
Yeah.
So I actually think not as much. I would like to think because it's video, because of the kind of cancel or call out culture, that you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught with Photoshop. We've seen this over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You're going to get caught with fake weights. We've seen this over the last 10 years. Maybe on like a lower scale, but if you're popular enough, someone's going to waste their time, analyze your video or picture, and call your ass out.
Yeah, well, there's an instance that I certainly know about it. I'm not going to tell the full story, but somebody that wore a bench shirt and a raw meat did it in such a way that was not as noticeable to people in the room, but was much more noticeable on social media.
Yeah. I think there's always going to be
And that person never confirmed that they did that, but I fucking know it because I have proof.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be, and then that goes to intent to me too, right? Like, are you using fake plates because you don't want to rip your delt doing a side lateral because you're going to bodybuilding show? Are you doing fake plates to get a bigger following to show you're so strong?
Yeah.
Are you doing it for an ego reason? Are you doing it in the, whatever? Or is it for the Instagram following? And again, not that I do judge, I'm a hater, but not that one's morally more right or something, but to me, I judge it a little bit harder. Like, if you're chasing ego stuff, I can understand. I think you're misdriven, but I can understand that your passion, that you can't chase your passion,
Or
chase your
if
ego.
you're not really the weight that you say you are in the weight class because somebody weighed you in.
Yeah,
or whatever. Way,
or is it because you're so competitive, right? Like go to Lance Armstrong or something.
Yeah.
People say he was just so competitive that he cheated. Is that ego? Is that passion? Is that competitive? Is that good? I don't know. It does get
You
really
certainly profited from it.
Yeah, it gets really foggy. It gets really foggy. But the worst to me is if you're literally just doing it for likes. Then I'm just like, that's like the shallowest. Even if you're ego driven, I don't agree, but I can at least wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
If you're just so shallow, you just need a little pat on the back to me, which again might be a mental health issue too, going back. So I do empathize, but it's still just so, I don't even know. You know, it's just so like, that's it. You know, for like, you don't even get money. Like, you get money, you get fame, or you even get your ego, like, I deadlifted 1,000, you know, like, something. Down here, like,
Well, somebody like we're aware of someone who posted somebody else's food on their Instagram as their own.
yeah.
For likes.
Yeah.
For likes.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like that's I've ever seen that meal on somebody else's plate. Not just the meal, but that picture.
Yeah,
Like,
social media it really is a warped reality, and I think the issue is, and I'm in it. Trust me, I'm not acting like I'm saying I'm fucking in there. I'm on my phone way more than I want to admit. I'm in that shit, but I have definitely drawn lines because I've done so from my reality to that reality, and I'm not faking either.
yeah, I had a difficult time with social media, period, because I don't like to put myself out forward. And then, like the original podcast we did together, the reason I put myself on it was specifically because I would have to be on camera, or not actually on camera, but on a mic. We did not originally do video, and I'm almost positive that if I could have avoided it, I would have. Although those videos have tens and thousands of views, and so that would have been a mistake on my part. But it's like sense of I just don't want to throw myself out there. And the older I get, the harder it is, you know.
That's how I know that I'm not fake, because like I don't even think about it anymore, right? Because like it's not like okay, story time, put on the mic, hey, you know, like I literally just turn it on because it is so.
Yeah.
Like that part, and because it's 10 years, I'm so beyond that. Or how I speak here is very similar to how I speak off cam.
Yeah.
I speak maybe a little bit faster here. Or I try to think more here because my words carry more responsibility to more ears.
Yeah.
So if I say something bad to Jim, when it's just me talking, I'd be like, "That's not what it is, Jim," and then explain it. You can't really do that here, so I do put a little bit more thought into how I speak, because you can't take it back as well. And I carry that responsibility with weight, but not fakeness.
Yeah. So, getting around to selling things.
Yeah, hit 'em.
You will want to go to, if you're a podcast listener, you get a little bit of extra heads up. 3sb.co, the merch that we sell here from Good Company by 3SB, drops on
Valentine's Day for you kids.
Valentine's Day.
So the kids, keep it simple, stupid. We want the stripped down look and allow kind of the color palette and the fabrics and the quality of the clothing to speak for itself. So we have a couple t-shirts, a couple hoodies, some really high quality training shorts. We're trying to kind of elevate what the athletic clothing is. You can wear it in multiple situations, but it is made for training and function. Drops on 14. A couple accessories we got going, a couple hats we got going. 3sb.co to snag all your goodies. As always, it's small batch, so once it's gone, it's gone. This is our third launch. We've had a lot of great feedback, and we appreciate you guys for the support, but we've had a lot of comments like, yeah man, bring that thing back, or I missed that hoodie. And we're not trying to necessarily be like mega hype beast, although I love that shit. We're really just trying to create new and improved items, outdoing ourselves every single time from a kind of a creative standpoint. And so once it's kind of gone, it's gone. Everything's small batch. Check it out, 3sb.co. .co, Third Street Barbell on Instagram. If this podcast comes out with a 3, if this comes out early, you'll be able to see some of the product samples and the sneak peeks on there.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as we have.
Yeah. I am at EJ McD on all social media. Mike is Silent Mike with 2 Ks.
Yes. Give us a little rating review. The podcast is back. We appreciate you. That was actually a fun episode, Jimbo. I'm glad we did that. And I think we can do a couple more movies because there's a bunch we can kind of. We'll see what's happening. We'll see what's up with the next topics. Tweet us, Instagram us, let us know what you want to hear. And thank you.
Thanks.